So if you read the title of the video, it's pretty simple. We're going to explain today the very basics of what an option is. We're going to talk about calls. We're going to talk about puts. We're going to talk about leverage. We're going to talk about options versus stocks. We're going to talk about a couple other small things as well, as far as like the Greeks and things like that. So this is going to be a beginner video. If you are intermediate or advanced as far as options go, you may still get a little bit of information from this video. We'll do videos later on in this channel that'll be for more intermediate and advanced options. Now we're going to go through a couple examples of these first, or later on in the video. But first, I just want to get through a couple more key points about options contracts. So why would you want to buy and sell an option contract? What's the point? Why wouldn't you just buy the stock? Well, the point is because options give you what's called leverage. I'm going to show a definition. And that leverage is basically going to give you extra risk associated with your trade. So you have higher potential gains, which is why people want to do it. But you also have higher potential losses as well, because you're essentially controlling 100 shares of a stock for cheaper than buying 100 shares of the underlying stock. So how is leverage used in your options contract? Well, like I said, it's like owning 100 shares of a stock, but only for a limited time. There's an expiration date that's attached to every option contract. And at the end of that expiration date, you will not own those shares attached to that contract anymore. It just disappears, it's gone. So there's a couple good things about that, and there's a couple bad things about that. One good thing about that is that option contracts generally will have a defined loss, especially if you're buying contracts. So if you pay $50 for an options contract, assuming that the stock is going to get to like $15, and let's say it's at $13 right now, and it never gets there, well, your defined max loss is whatever you paid to get into the trade. In this example, it would be $50. That's the most you can lose. Even if the company goes bankrupt and all this other stuff, it doesn't matter. All you lose is what you pay initially for that $50. That's all. Now, if you're selling an option, essentially what you're doing is you're giving the buyer of that contract the right, but not the obligation, to purchase shares from you at your agreed upon strike price and expiration date. So you don't have a defined loss as the seller of an option contract, but you do have a defined gain. So if you receive $50, if you're on the other end of that trade we just talked about, then your max gain for that trade is $50. You can't make any more than that. But your max loss could be quite large. If it's at $13 right now, like we said, your potential loss would be $1,300, because 13 times 100 is 1,300. So if you owned 100 shares and it went to zero, well then yeah, you could lose $1,300. So that's a couple different things about options contracts. It gives you leverage so that you can make higher potential gains, but it's very important to remember that there are also larger potential losses involved as well. So options contracts are not for everybody. You have to be pretty risk averse in order to trade options contracts. And I would recommend for a beginner trading options contracts to not include or to not go over the 10 to 20% threshold in your portfolio. Invest into ETFs, the S&P, NASDAQ, QQQ, all that kind of stuff. Long-term value play ETFs, that should be probably at least 50% of your total portfolio. Then make a couple other little stocks here and there, 5%. But options should not, in my opinion, shouldn't be more than about 20% of your entire portfolio, just so that you don't get into your account, get into a couple options contracts, get all excited, and then just blow up your account right away. You want to be able to stay in the game and make some money long term. So that's one thing that I would recommend. It is risky to play options contracts. That's why there's a lot of things that go into the options contracts, and we'll get into a couple examples now. Okay, so we are in Robinhood, and we went to the search bar and typed in the letter F for ticker symbol F, which is Ford Motor. Currently at $11.85 per share. So we're going to look into buying a call option contract for Ford. So let's go to trade and go to trade options. You can see this is nice. They give you a couple definitions: what a call is, sell a covered call, create a debit spread, and create a put credit spread. We're going to go into all of those at some point, probably in the next video, if not the video afterwards. So please like and subscribe to keep up to date with the channel. I'm going to be uploading videos as regularly as I can, at least once every couple of weeks or so, maybe every week if I can. So please keep that in mind. Please leave a like and subscribe. It's very, very much appreciated. Anyways, let's go about a month out. Today is July 16th, I believe. So let's just go to August 12th. It's about a month away. And we're going to focus on buying a call today. So let's go to the $12 call. You can see it is at right now 59 cents. Please keep in mind that options contracts contain 100 shares. So that 59 cents is going to be times 100 to get your actual cost, which is $59. So let's check it out. All right, so here we go. It's the $12 call ending on August 12th. So what you're saying is that you would like to purchase the right to buy 100 shares at $12 a piece from now until August 12th. All right. So let's look at the Greeks. Greeks are very, very important. We're going to go over two of them today. We're going to go over delta and we're going to go over theta. The vega, the gamma, and the rho are all very important as well. But for this beginner video, let's just concentrate on delta and theta. We'll talk about the other ones in the next videos. So delta, very, very important. The most important thing to remember about delta is that, generally speaking, this is not the actual definition, but it generally gives you an idea of what percentage chance you have to make money. So when you look at the delta, it's 0.5018. It says you have about a 50-50 chance of making money on this trade. The delta also represents essentially how many shares of the stock you control with your options contract. So for this one, since it's a month out and the delta is 50, essentially we're paying $60 to control 50 shares worth of Ford. That's why options contracts use so much leverage, like we talked about earlier, because you're getting in for really, really cheap and you're controlling a lot of shares for a very short amount of time. So you can lose it all very quickly, or you can also gain a lot of money very quickly, depending on what the underlying price does. So that's your delta. The theta is also another thing to consider, especially when you're buying options contracts. Theta is how much your options contract is deteriorating over time. So right now we have a month out for expiration. This stock could go anywhere in a month. It could go really high up, it could go really far down. That's what the implied volatility represents, how far the stock could move up or down. And since there's so much time, there's much more uncertainty, and there's a lot of more like X factors that could happen. So you have to pay for time on your options contracts. If you have until next August, you would have to pay a lot more for that because there's a lot more time in which the stock could move up. So you pay for the options and then you also pay for time. Theta is the time portion of that contract. So when you see the theta here down at 0.0119, what you need to do is move the decimal places over 2 spots to the right. That'll give you $1.19. This is approximately how much money you are losing off of your options contract every day, no matter what happens. So because time is deteriorating, also so is your premium as well. Like your options contract is deteriorating as time goes less. Once we get to August 12th, there will be no more time. So the options contract will be what it is. It's either going to be worth something or it's going to be worth zero by August 12th. So that's what the theta is. Theta is how much money you're losing over time. If you're on the sell side, if you didn't buy this option, if you sold it to somebody else, that theta is actually going to work in your favor because you're going to be gaining that money every single day. So always keep in mind your theta and always keep in mind your delta, because they will give you an idea of how successful and how expensive your trade is. So that's all we're going to talk about today, guys. We talked about delta, we talked about theta, we talked about buys, puts, options contracts and generals, and we talked about that versus the stocks. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Like I said, I'm going to try to get a video out at least once a week or every other week. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun with this, and we'll go over some more stuff next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.